The 49ers fired Steve Wilks just 3 days after they lost the Super Bowl. Here are a few coaches they could hire to replace him as a defensive coordinator. 1, defensive backs coach Daniel Wilks. This probably would be the coach the players would lobby for. He's been with the team since 2017. He was with Robert Saleh and DeMeco Ryans on that first 49ers defense with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. He was with Robert Saleh in Jacksonville. He played in the league. These players know him very well, and they're comfortable with him. Probably more comfortable with him than they were with Steve Wilks, who was an outsider. And if you ask a lot of these DBs, they'll attribute their growth, Ambry Thomas, Deommodore Lenoir, Jair Brown, to Daniel Wilks. It's a little surprising Wilks didn't get the job last year instead of Steve Wilks. I'm thinking some of the players expected he would. And I'm thinking the reason that Kyle Shanahan didn't give it to Wilks is because there's a lot of pressure. This is a Super Bowl team, and you need a experienced defensive coordinator, maybe? Maybe. I mean, DeMeco Ryans wasn't, but maybe that was the thinking, that Wilks wasn't quite ready. Maybe he's ready now, or maybe the Niners think they need a defensive coordinator with some Super Bowl experience, considering Steve Wilks didn't have it, and he didn't come through in overtime, although he did quite well the first 4 quarters. So if they don't go for Daniel Wilks, they could go for Brian Flores, who is a longtime position coach under Bill Belichick, has 4 Super Bowl rings as a coach, and an excellent defensive coordinator. Most recently was a defensive coordinator with the Vikings. He'd be a great choice. He's a hell of a coach. Although it's possible the Niners feel that one of the issues with their defense this year is that their defensive coordinator, Wilks, had a defensive backs background, and the previous 2 defensive coordinators, Ryans and Saleh, were linebacker coaches. And they talked all year about how the Wilks in particular, the defense, was having a tough time marrying the coverage with the pass rush, tying in the back end with the front end. Well, who does that? The linebackers. They're in the middle. That's what linebackers do physically, mentally. So if the Niners feel they need someone with the linebackers coach background to get the most out of this particular defense, because that's what Saleh and Ryans had, then maybe they could go for someone such as Mike Vrabel. He's available. He was a linebacker coach. He was a linebacker. He has 3 rings as a player. He might be interested in coaching under Kyle Shanahan for a year. Maybe he thinks if he comes to the 49ers, wins a Super Bowl, has a number 1 defense, he'll become a head coach in a year. And if there's a wild card, if the Niners think that they could get him, I don't know how much money it would cost or what it would take, but there's always Bill Belichick. Maybe he doesn't want to be head coach anymore. That sounds ridiculous just saying it. So I'm not going to really entertain it. But maybe if they offer him $8 billion, he'd do it. So the in-house option, Daniel Wilks, I don't think they're going to do it. They could go Brian Flores, excellent option, but I think they want someone with a linebacker coach background, even if he's an outsider. Someone with Super Bowl experience. I would think Vrabel. See what happens.